Hey everybody! Thank you for tuning into another episode of All the Scoop podcast. I'm Kevin Scoop Culp. Uh, been a minute since my last guest. I had to get over that great interview with Grayson White, well known here in this community, and really enjoyed that. Everybody support him however you can going forward. He's got a couple more years to play at Newberry. I always like to see the local boys do good. Here on All the Scoop, we like to get a lot of local guests. So tonight, really excited about our guest tonight. Took time out of a very busy schedule. If anybody knows what time of year it is, that will kind of give it away. But we're gonna keep it hopefully a little shorter, a little sweeter. He just walked in the door and I think maybe got a few bites and was able to jump on the podcast with us. So before I let you know who we're talking to, we'll give him a little intro music here.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Our guest tonight, or today, is no other than the longtime head coach of the Camden High School Varsity Baseball Bulldogs, Mr. Denny Beckley. How you doing today?
Scoop, I'm doing great, man. That I love the intro. It could have been a little bit better maybe if you had done like a Harry Carey old tape of Harry Carey singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" for my Cubbies. But that was great, man. I love it.
Well, I tried to find a few. I went to YouTube and they just either you couldn't understand what he was saying or
Yeah.
the quality was so bad. But I did get this for you.
No, that's good. There we go.
Baseball season's underway. Well, you better get ready for a brand new day. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. They're singing, Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today.
That was my surprise. That was my surprise I had for you. I was going to hold it to the end when I asked you who your favorite Major League Baseball team was. I knew who it was, but you ruined the ruined the surprise for later. Kind of a tangent story. And always have been, to anybody out there that thinks I'm a bandwagon fan, I'm not. I'm a Dodgers fan. That's just who my dad pulled for. So, I was up at 11, 12 o'clock at night, 10 years old, fist pumping right with Kirk Gibson when he hit that home run against the A's. I pull for the Braves like every other friend I have, but my team is the Dodgers. But I am kind of a closet Cubs fan for two reasons. Number one, you had WGN here locally, and they showed the Cubs every single night. So that was number one. But more so, and I ironically just posted about this on Facebook. I played in training league with the Kershaw County Rec Department. Every single training league, which I guess now is the coach pitch, but they didn't really have a T-ball league, and they didn't have a overhand coach league. It was called training league. So they did the underhand, but it was, I guess, from about 6 or 7 to 8, 9. So basically what your coach pitch is now with the rec department. And Dr. Holtein sponsored every single team in that whole entire league. There's probably 10 of them. So they were Dr. Holtein's Braves, Dr. Holtein's Red Sox, Dr. Holtein's. I played for the Dr. Holtein's Cubs.
Yeah.
1985 and 1986, we lost 2 games. And back then, you actually had a county tournament at the end. So the only 2 games we lost were the, double elimination where the team has to beat you twice in the championship. We lost the first game both years, and those were only 2 games we lost. And that is actually where I got my nickname, Scoop, from. Dub Moore, the optometrist here in town, coined that phrase on the 85 Cubs 41 years ago. And it is stuck until now. So that's kind of a story of where all the Scoop came from.
How about that?
Yeah, Dub Moore.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, you've known me for years and probably didn't know that story either. So
No, I didn't.
let's talk about your background. So let's kind of start in your younger years. And since we're concentrating primarily on baseball, I know you're involved with quite a few other sports and probably were growing up as well as your children were, but let's concentrate on the baseball aspect of it and kind of go from your upbringing, what started that love, kind of how it transpired through your school years, and then ultimately how you got into coaching.
All right. Well, I so being a Cubs fan came from. And there's a lot of people here in the South and all across the country, really, who like the Cubs just because, like you said, WGN. But I lived in Indiana until I was 13, so I was so fortunate. My dad, we went to Wrigley usually a couple times a summer. So I had been to Wrigley several times, growing up. Going to watch the Cubs, and then of course watching them on WGN in Indiana as well. So that was kind of where my love for baseball started. Now I did play other sports, but like you said, you wanted to kind of stick it to baseball. But one of the things it's really kind of funny. I don't remember this, but when I was really young, I used to wear a Cubs hat backwards, and I would wear those little plastic helmets that had like the snap thing underneath it where you could fit it to your head. You know what I'm talking about? Did you ever have one of those?
Oh yeah.
So I would wear the Cubs helmet forward and the Cubs hat backwards. And anytime they would ever call me to come in or, hey, come over here, evidently I would run and do a pop-up slide right there wherever they were. So it's really kind of ironic that I did that, and I still do the slide to this day after the umpire meeting at home plate. And the weird thing is I never really put that together until my dad brought it to my attention several years ago. And I was like, wow, I didn't even really remember that when I was young. So, but anyway, no, I played baseball growing up. My dad owned his own.
The pop-up's a little slower nowadays, though.
Oh, man. So I told our guys last year that I might not be able to do it anymore. I was going through some old man stuff last spring. And, if they line up in the tunnel, man, it's kind of my competitive nature, I guess. I got to go do it. So there were a couple times last year where I didn't pop up. I just laid there on the ground. But anyway, I am feeling a little more. I'm feeling a little bit better. I think I got some aching joints and whatever, but I think I'm gonna be all right. But anyway, no, I played baseball, basketball, and football, but in high school, I got cut from the basketball team. We moved from Indiana when I was in the 8th grade, and so we moved to the Charlotte area in Harrisburg, where the Charlotte Motor Speedway is. Right, I lived about 2 miles from the Speedway. So I went to 8th in ninth grade there and played rec ball. They didn't have a B team or a JV. I got cut from the varsity team as a freshman. We ended up moving my sophomore year to Garner, North Carolina, which is near Raleigh. And I made their team and actually got called up to the varsity as a sophomore. And then my junior year, we moved down to Charleston, and I graduated from Stratford High School. I played 2 years at Stratford High School, which was a really good 5A program now. And so I went to Francis Marion as a walk-on, and I watched a lot of baseball at Francis Marion. Didn't ever really play that much. Learned a lot under Gerald Griffin. He was the head coach there. And so I graduated in 92, and that's when I started my assistant coaching or teaching and coaching career in the fall of 92. No, that's not correct. I'm sorry. I was a 4.5 year plan at Francis Marion. So I graduated in December, and then the spring of 92 was my first year as an assistant. So my brother, Dave, was a senior on that team. So I got to coach my brother one year, which was really cool. But I was an assistant at Stratford High School for 8 years, and been here since the school year of 99-2000. So,
yeah, I thought it was around there. I graduated in 96, so I knew you weren't here, during my tenure, but I knew shortly thereafter. I also took the 4.5 year route, unbeknownst to my parents. That's a story for off the air, but 4.5 years, then moved back to Camden, and all I've known since then with Camden baseball is basically Denny Beckley. When I was in high school, it was Coach Reeder was the coach the whole time I was in high school. So I don't know if you're ever an assistant under him or how that worked out. I was away at college, but definitely glad to have you come here, especially anytime young coaches come in. It's always worked out well in this community, from what I can tell. Growing up here, living here as an adult as well. So you started late 90s, early 2000s. Very, from a football perspective, a great time, great athletics here at Camden High School. I know back then a lot more, well, not a lot more, but quite a few football players also played baseball. Not saying that they don't now, but that was a good time from an athletic perspective. I mean, Camden, we don't kind of reload. Athletes come through on a yearly basis. So it was a good time to kind of kick it off. So kind of start there, straight out of college. I'm sure there was bumps in the road, obstacles, things like that. Kind of go about, maybe the progress over how that's a long time ago, Denny. So 27 years, is that right?
Yeah, this is year 27 here. I was an assistant at Stratford High School for 8 years before coming and taking over here. So, our first year here was Coach Neal's second year as the head football coach. So that was
still
Richie Williams.
Yeah, still a long time ago.
Yeah, Griff Beckham was a junior. Eric McCullum was a freshman. So John Thompson was a good player for us. I mean, we had a lot of players, but there were probably when I first got here, there weren't as many football, baseball guys. It kind of grew a little bit for probably I don't know, '03 to maybe 15, 17, somewhere in there. But it's not been as many in the last 5 to 7 years as what maybe it used to be. Seems to be a little more, um, one sport kind of guys. But it's always good to have multi-sport players. I think I've always tried to get people to do both. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing there. Sorry about that. Um, Now, when we first got started, coaching staff was tough getting coaches here. We didn't have a B team. We just had a JV and a varsity. I remember I was trying to get some guys to help. Mark Jones was one of the first people to help. I used to call him Laser Jones. He used to hit ground balls, hit fungos to the players at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I was scared to death that he was going to kill somebody. And he would just keep. I'd be like, Mark, man, I know we want to make them tough, but we don't need to kill them. He's like, oh man, they'll be all right. But he was great. He was a volunteer and helped out. I had a couple other guys that were volunteers. So I was really trying hard to get a couple of other, baseball guys, and all of a sudden Coach Neal comes to me and says, hey, I got you an assistant coach. And I was like, well, thanks. Who is it? I mean, I didn't talk to him before. I never met him. And he was like, oh, he's coaching football too, so you'll see him here in a couple of weeks. And so it ended up being Scotty Dean, and he was great. But I always thought that was a funny story to tell about Coach Neal really stepping out of his way to help me out. But I never even got a chance to interview him or talk with him before he had already been my assistant. So that's kind of the old school stuff, man. It doesn't happen like that nowadays. But I was very grateful, and he ended up being a great coach. And Scotty still is coaching he's at Brooklyn Casey now with Lewis Clyburn, defensive coordinator. But
and now now a lot of more recently, with your tenure here, you see a lot more former players that are taking the time out, whether it be a regular assistants, regular coaches on some of the lower level teams. When I say that, I mean non-varsity teams, or just volunteer coaches. But I know, over the last, I'd say, decade or whatnot, you've had quite a bit of players that you coached, and therefore they kind of know your, what you like, what you don't like, and less, I guess, teaching of the coaches that you have to do because they've been through your program. They know what to expect, and they're able to relay that in a way to the players, I would guess.
yeah, it's been great. Very, very fortunate. On our B team staff, Zach Calder is the head coach. He's a former Camden football and baseball player. Bennett Caldwell is an assistant. He's a former Camden football baseball player. And Carl Cunningham is assistant on there, the pitching coach for the B team, and he played and pitched for us as well. And then on the JV staff, Brandon Kersey was a North-South player for us, graduated in 2010. He was obviously a Camden. He played football as well. So he's our pitching coach on the JV team. So what's that? That's 4. And then we have 2 more on the varsity, Josh Lund and Brady White. So we have 6 former players, former Camden students and players that are a part of our coaching staff. So I'm really, really blessed. Those guys, they know me well and know how I'm trying to do the things that we've done in the past and tweak it a little bit here or there. But it's been a really neat thing, and we've had several former players that have coached on our staff. So that's one of the things that's really neat about Camden, and we have a lot of former players on our football staff as well. So it's something that I think is really special, and I hope that guys that play for us want to, if they're going to be living in Camden when they get older and they want to come out and help out, man, we are always looking for some good people to help us out.
Yeah, no, one thing that you've had the luxury of doing that a lot of coaches don't. I'm the son of a coach. I mean, as long as I was alive and my father was alive, basketball, there was a lot of sacrifices that had to be done. Fortunately, I was young enough for a lot of those years where I still got to spend time with him as quote unquote his manager or whatnot. And then even into high school, I played basketball, so I saw him a lot. But, coaches' families they have a big sacrifice, and Denny's been lucky enough to coach two of his sons over a 3 to 4 year period, and that's pretty cool because you're working, you're doing your job, but you're also being able to. I'm sure they didn't like it in some instances that Daddy was the head coach, but kind of tell us, how cool that was to be able to coach, because they both were very talented and both went on to play, past high school. So kind of give people an idea of what that dynamic was like.
Well, you hit it right on the head, the nail on the head. I mean, it was extremely, I was extremely blessed. They both were great players to coach. They didn't expect any kind of favors. They didn't treat me very differently at practice, and I don't think I did either, really. Some people might think that might not necessarily be the case, but I tried really hard not to be too hard on them, but at the same time, no way was I ever showing favoritism. But Devin graduated in 2017. He was a third baseman and a pitcher, and went on to pitch at the Citadel and had a really good career at the Citadel. Ended up being their Friday starter his senior year. And actually, after he got done with the Citadel, he got a couple of phone calls from some independent minor league teams and played 2 summers of minor league ball before he kind of gave it up. And then so Davis came along. Davis was he graduated in 23, and Davis started off younger as kind of Davis didn't pitch. He did pitch some, but he didn't have the same I guess success on the mound as what Devin did. So Davis was more of a corner infielder guy, and Davis was a really good hitter. So he kind of stuck more with the defense and hitting, whereas Devin was much more of a pitcher than he was the other. So, yeah, I've said this a lot. One of my proudest moments as a coach was actually when I was coaching Devin in football. I didn't coach him because he was on offense, so that probably helped a lot. But I've been coaching defense pretty much my whole time here at Camden. And but anyway, it was about Game 7 of the season, and one of the players on offense came up to me and said, "Coach Beckley, Devin is your son?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "How did I not know that?" I said, "I don't know." But that's one of my proudest moments as a coach, that a kid had no idea that he was my son. So that proved to me that I didn't necessarily treat him any differently or make any big fuss about him being my son. So but yeah, baseball part was a lot different because, in football I was just an assistant coach, but baseball being the head coach, there were a couple of moments with both of them that I had some very interesting conversations that I probably wouldn't have had with other players. So uh, we'll leave that for off the air conversation as well, as you mentioned earlier. So, but
Yeah.
no, man, it was
Family
a real
friendly,
privilege. Yeah,
family friendly
exactly.
program.
It was a real privilege, and they're both good kids, man. And obviously I'm biased, but they're not perfect, and nobody is. But we learned a lot from each other through some of those non-perfect moments, and that's what life's all about. So it was really special.
Um, Once again, he mentioned it earlier. Both of them multi-sport athletes.
Yeah.
I know football and baseball. I don't know if either one of them played anything else, but Devin probably could have played basketball with his height. But
Mhm.
I saw him. Davis probably could have. I saw him on the church basketball team a few times, and he could fill it up from 3 point if he got hot. Um, so think back over that. I guess what's going on 27 years. What are some of your memorable teams? The one that comes to my mind since I've been back was the team with Jack LaFrage on it, where
Mhm.
somebody told me, might have been Josh Lund, might have told me that, and I didn't realize this, but I went to a lot of games that year because I knew quite a few of the kids on the team, obviously, but said something like he didn't strike out all year or something. I mean, I
That is
knew
correct.
he was clutch, but I didn't. That amazed me. So I don't know if it was like during the playoffs or the whole year or what, but I'm sure that's a memorable team just because of the distance that they went. And then last year, obviously, I would think it was another one as far as they went in the playoffs. But some of the more memorable ones, and it might not be baseball related. There might have been one that was 8-20 that just made an impact on you.
Yeah. Well, I love all of my guys, man. I really do. I think one of the things that I try really hard to do is show them how much I care about them as individuals first. And a lot of times if people know how much you care, they don't care how much you know. So that's something that's been a big part of my coaching. I think when I was at Francis Marion, I said earlier that I watched a lot of baseball, and I was not great. I was a gritty, hardworking kind of guy, and I kind of felt like, and a lot of my teammates felt like that I probably should have played more. And um, I remember thinking that if I ever became a coach, I wasn't going to not communicate with my players because I felt like my college coach didn't ever really let me know what I needed to do to get better. And there's been some teams and probably a lot of players that may hear this and be like, "Well, dang, Beck, you never talked to me about that kind of stuff either." So, but it's something that I have tried to get better at. But memorable teams, man. Our second year, that would have been '01. We really got on a good run. That was Griff Beckham's senior year. He pitched really, really well for us his senior year, and we ended up tying for the conference championship with Flora. They beat us in the run differential, and then the crazy thing was in the playoffs, all four teams that we were matched up with in our district were the same exact four teams, 1 through 4 of our conference. And we ended up losing to Flora twice to get eliminated in the playoffs, and both of them I think were by 1 run. So we improved really quickly. That first year we didn't make the playoffs, and then the second year we tied for region championship, which is a co-region championship. So that was '01. The '09 team is the team you referenced. We played for a state championship that year. Had a really, really uh, good chemistry. Tyler Pike was our um, ace pitcher, but Andrew Ansley had an unbelievable year that year. I think he was like 13-1 as a junior. Chris Nelson was our number 3 pitcher. He had a great year too. Jack LaFrage, you referred to, honestly, I swear to you, did not strike out the entire season. Not one strikeout the whole season. One of my most favorite stories about that was the top of the 7th inning with 1 out and nobody on against Belton Honeypath in the state championship, game 3. Belton Honeypath had just scored 2 runs to go ahead, and it's the top of the 7th. We're down by a run, and LaFrage gets down 0-2. And everybody knows that he hasn't struck out. And he's facing Belton Honeypath's ace, who got the player of the year that year, I think. And he fouled off 3, 4, 5 pitches and ended up getting the ground ball between short and third for an infield base hit. And it was just one of those moments that his grit and his mental toughness just, I believe he would have fouled off 1,000,000 pitches if he had to get on base at that time.
I was at that game. It felt like he fouled off 1,000,000 pitches. I mean, it was, like you said, he went down 0-2. I remember that at bat, like, very vividly, you know, like he went down 0-2 too quick, and then you were like, oh, I mean, this guy is fighting for this at bat, you know, and it turned out well for you. But yeah, I mean, you said 8 or 9 foul balls. I would have guessed 15 to 20. It seemed like he was up there in the batter's box for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was an epic at bat. It was an epic at bat, no doubt. The 2015 team was a really good team. We made it to the Final Four. Will Abbott, Ross Huff was a senior. Will Abbott was a junior. Devin was a sophomore. So those were our top 3 pitchers. That 2015 team, we had a bunch of seniors, really senior-laden lineup. Cole Irick was at short. Lawson Stokes was at first base. Christian Flick was our catcher. Man, that was Pooh Smith played in the outfield. Carson Morgan. Man, we had a tough group, a really tough group. We made it to the Final Four, lost out to Belton Honeypath again, I think, that year. And then the next year, in 16, we get eliminated at BHP again. Will Abbott is throwing a no-hitter, and with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th, they hit a walk-off home run to win 1-0 at BHP. That was in 16.
It's kind of like football, you know, like
Daniel. Yeah.
Usually Camden or Daniel has to go through each other. And it's same thing. I mean, I can remember back as far as, if I'm not mistaken, when Camden went back to back, 88, 89, I believe it was. I was in middle school or maybe late elementary school, but I believe the first year, they beat BHP for the state championship, and maybe the next year. I remember going to Darlington. I don't know if they were playing Darlington that next year or if it was just like a neutral site game or whatever, but I'm pretty confident that the first year BHP was the team they beat for the state championship when Robbie Cash and Bobby Ingram was like a freshman on that team, and all those guys went back to back. But yeah, BHP is is synonymous over the years in baseball when it comes to playoffs in Camden. So let's take a kind of a tangent, then we'll come talk more about this current year and preview it. But y'all have a great relationship with the Kershaw County Recreation Department. Obviously you as a coach and your assistants probably pay attention. I don't know how early, maybe and obviously y'all are also busy a lot during that time of year, but through skills evaluations before the drafts and coaching clinics, father-son clinics and stuff like that, there's certain ones that you notice. But there's also a lot of help that y'all provide the Kershaw County Recreation Department. As recently as this past weekend, kind of talk a little bit about that. That being kind of I talk about recreation and middle school sports being a bloodline for high school sports, regardless of what team or sport you're talking about. But over your years, just talk a little bit about the relationship and the partnership with the recreation department and what y'all have done to help them, and also what it's meant for y'all's program.
Well, I use that word bloodline all the time, and I don't want to make it sound like that I think that we're all that. We're not perfect, and we're learning stuff all the time too. However, obviously we go to coaches clinics, and we know a pretty good bit about baseball. So we try and create opportunities for rec league coaches to come and watch practices. We have kind of an open door policy. If they want to come watch practices or come, we'll bend over backwards to try and help those guys out, and girls and ladies too, to try and help teach the game, because that is our future. So some of the things that we do, you've mentioned a lot of them, but it started off way back when we first got here as running the camps through the rec department. And we always do a spring break camp. It's usually just a 3-day camp. It's more, it's not as regimented, I guess. It's still fundamentals, and it's still, good, but it's not quite as long, and we don't have as much competition stuff where we give out certificates and awards like we do the one in the summer. But we always have done a father-son camp where we try and have a 3-hour camp on a Saturday where the dad or grandfather comes out with the son or sons. And honestly, I always tell them we're really trying to coach the dads more than we are the kids, so that when they go home and the kids want to go play catch, or if they want to go do some stuff, then the dads can have some coaching cues that they can help with those kids as they're spending their time with them too. Something that we've really kind of started more recently in the last 10 years or so, maybe even longer than that, but we've always helped out with the skill evaluation. And my wife, Stephanie, actually came up with this idea, and I don't know how. I never thought of it before, but I used to complain about, we would go over to the rec field at the rec fields, and we would do the skills evaluation, and then we would have a Meet the Bulldogs event at our field after their stuff was over. And I remember I came home one time, I was like, babe, nobody ever comes over after the skills evaluation. They just go home. They don't come to our field to meet our players. And she said, well, why don't you start having the skills evaluation at your own field then? and so like I did wow, I should have had a V8 conch on my head and said, okay, that's what we're doing from here on out. So this past weekend was bad weather, so we ended up doing it indoors at the high school, and anytime we have bad weather, we try and do indoor stuff. So over the years, we developed some really good drills that we can do inside with tennis balls and wiffle balls and softy balls that can really simulate a lot of the same kind of baseball stuff that we would do outside. So we did our skills evaluation with the rec league coaches, and then they went into the cafeteria after it was over and did their draft. And when the kids were done, we had our varsity team there dressed in uniform, and we have these 8.5 by 11 pictures with the front and the back of all the individual pictures of our players, kind of like in the baseball cards format. And the rec league kids, when they're done with their skill evaluation, they go through a Meet the Bulldogs line, and the players can sign their name on their little individual picture on their 8.5 by 11 sheet that we give them. And then we also have schedules that we have. So we do that. We also have a rec league recognition night every spring where all the players, if they come to the game dressed in a uniform, they can come out and be recognized on the field. So yeah, they're our bloodline. We really try and have kind of an open door policy, and we also, you mentioned this too, we do have a coach's clinic type situation that we before the skills evaluation starts at 9:30. So like every spring at 8:30 we have a little skills a coach's clinic. So it's funny, I mean, I always get really excited about that, and then I show up and there's like 3 or 4 coaches there. So it's not what I've found out is that there's not very many people who get as excited about baseball as our coaches do. So it's kind of, the coaches clinic part is never as many there as I always hoped for, but it's still a good thing to provide. Those that are there, we treat them like they're kings. So hopefully they learn some baseball.
So that's great. And you know, over the years, you've had some great mentors, coaches, like knowledgeable coaches in that recreation department league that, you know, one that comes to my mind who when I was young I thought was the biggest, meanest person in the world, but like a Bill DeBrule comes to mind, where he really cared about making you better as a baseball player. And as you got older and to where you didn't have a 10 or 11-year-old brain, even into high school, you understood how coaches like that in the rec leagues, how instrumental they were. And Camden's been lucky to have those type of coaches, not only in the baseball ranks, but basketball and football. And I honestly, I know this is a athletic town, but I honestly think that the success in athletics, continued success over the years in pretty much all sports at Camden High School has a lot to do with the amount of time that some of those people that aren't getting paid for what they're doing, just doing it for the love and wanting to teach it right in the, the lower age groups. I don't think there's a coincidence there. I think that Camden's been very lucky to have those type of things. So it's great that partnership's there. Not only to feed y'all as a feeder program, but also for y'all to be able to give back to them. So let's get to this year.
Well, hey, do you mind if I give a few people some shout outs?
Sure, go ahead.
Because I it's so funny. So Daryl Ingram is a guy that I don't know how long he's been doing it, but obviously his children are way above the age of playing in the rec leagues. But I think he's been doing it ever since I've got here. It might be about 20 years or so. But Darrell Ingram is a big name. Will Powers is a guy that comes to mind. It's just been amazing. Like you said, there's been guys. Brian Nelson was a guy that earlier on in my career here, or in my time here, was a guy that was real big. So, it's been really neat seeing those guys that have that love for the game, and not just the game of baseball, but also the game of life. And that's one of our biggest philosophies. So I just wanted to kind of give a quick plug to a couple of those kind of guys, man. They've been vital to our success.
Oh yeah, and you picked a few good ones there. We could rattle off hundreds more probably. Another one who kind of goes hand in hand with Darrell. They're kind of connected at the hip. That comes to my mind is Tony Salmon. He's very similar to Darrell in the fact that through umpiring. I know with my son being involved in last couple of years with travel ball, they both also participate in the umpiring of that, and a lot of that, especially in the younger ages, is instructional to an extent, depending on the tournament, and those guys as well as a few others from not necessarily Camden, but Kershaw County, take the time, and not just the kids they know. Like, they know some of the kids on the local teams, Camden League Golf, but I've seen them, do it for teams from Columbia or Charleston, so it's tough to get. It's talking about umpires, tough to. It's kind of like a weatherman, 50% of the time you're wrong. Although weathermen, they've been pretty good the last month or two, but yeah, kudos to all the people, even the ones that weren't named. So
we have a scrimmage Wednesday night in Sumter, and guess who one of our umpires is for a scrimmage?
Oh goodness,
Tony Salmon.
Yeah. That was my first guess. We actually had I don't know if you know him or not. His dad's a little older, so you wouldn't have been here when his dad was in high school. But we had Hunter Ives, the younger Hunter Ives, on the podcast at one point, talking about what he does with business and baseball, and he's instrumental in getting those umpires, particularly on the travel ball side, but he also gets them in certain school functions, scrimmages, things like that. But yeah, it's a thankless job, and we appreciate the ones that are good, because they're not all good. But
No, you're right about that.
So this year just started. Well, I guess just kind of. And the reason I asked this question, just because my dad used to knock it in my head when I was a younger kid. He was like, the hardest you need to work is when nobody's watching. It's great. You can go out there, particularly in basketball, him being a basketball coach, you can go out there and, you like, hitting 5 threes in the game, which very seldom did I do. But he was like, what are you doing when the gym's empty, or, it's a Saturday and you got all season workouts, stuff like that. So just hit on the preseason through tryouts aspect of it, and how important that is from a player perspective for development, but also from a coach's perspective, because they do semi-limit the amount of time y'all have with those guys over a yearly basis. And we already talked about some of them play other sports. And then kind of wrap that up by going into, a preview of the Varsity Bulldogs here for 2026 spring.
Okay, yeah, so we have in the fall, there's the month of October is actually what's called an open period, but we don't do any team stuff in October, because we have what's called the Diamond Prospects Fall League. So we've got 2 teams, an older team and a younger team, that do that. And then there are a lot of guys that play a lot of other travel ball stuff. So Plus, we have a baseball weightlifting class. So there's a lot of schools that do a lot of stuff during October, but we haven't done near as much with that because we've got so many guys that do so much coaching in the summer and in the spring, and we've already got our players pretty much involved in a lot of other stuff already. So we don't do the October thing. But we do have, like I said, the Diamond Prospects Fall League. There's a younger team and an older team of our players that are coming back from, the previous year. And then we have that baseball weightlifting class. So we've got quite a bit of baseball stuff going on, even though it is, off season. But so December is when we start. The second week of December is when we start our baseball weightlifting. And then January is an open period where we start our preseason workouts. So we've been doing basically outdoor practices since January. And then the first week of February is when the tryouts begin. So that was the week we had a lot of snow. So we actually missed the first 2 days of the week for snow. And then the weather warmed up. And on Wednesday, we got a bunch of rain. It was so much rain that we couldn't even practice on Wednesday either. So we missed the first 3 days of tryout week due to weather stuff. So we did our evaluation the following Monday, which we usually finish, the previous week on Thursday. So we were a little bit behind in that aspect, but we did our evaluation, which is the worst week of the year every year for us. We got kids that have been working out since the beginning of December, and then we have to get our numbers down to manageable numbers. Unfortunately, it's not like some of these other sports like football or whatever where you can just keep however many people show up. So we did our evaluation, and now we've got our 3 teams, and we've been getting after it. Our varsity team has had 2 scrimmages. We have one more Wednesday night at USC Sumter, Riley Park, and we're playing against Sumter High. So that's Wednesday night. And then Friday we start our preseason tournament, which is real games at White Knoll High School. We play Brooklyn Casey Friday. We play Hillcrest Simpsonville, really good 5A school on Saturday. And then Sunday we play White Knoll. And then depending on how we do with those previous 3 games, we'll determine who we play on Monday. So it's a 4-day tournament, which is really tough on pitching, with it being 4 consecutive days. And that's been an area that we have kind of struggled with early on. We've got some guys with some sore arms, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how we respond in that preseason tournament. But 2026, we're coming off of 2 back-to-back years where we had really good playoff runs. I was going to talk about the 24 team earlier when you talked about memorable teams. And 2024, we made it to the Final Four that year as well. Just a really good playoff run, just great team chemistry. The last 2 years, in my opinion, were as good as chemistry teams as we've probably had. 24, we had some really good pitching. Bayer Ware was our ace, and Haney was our number 2, and then Cade Martirano. So that year, pretty good pitching. Also Campbell Denton too. Goodness gracious, I almost forgot him. So we had 4 really good pitchers that year, whereas last year we kind of didn't have quite as much depth and still made it to the final 8 last year. So we're coming off of 2 really good seasons. We're still in 4A. Last year was our first year at 4A. and we're going to be in 4A this year, but this will be the last year. Next year we go back down to 3A. So, the fact that we jumped up to 4A and still finished in the final 8 was a really proud moment for our program, in my opinion. Although we're not into, what's the right word, where you
Moral
lose.
victories.
Yeah, we're not into moral victories. Sorry, I couldn't think of that. But we still want, our goal every year is to play for a state championship and win a state championship. So just because we're in 4A, that doesn't mean that that's going to change. So we're really excited about this year's team.
How often do they change that? I know.
So the classification, the realignment is every 2 years.
Okay.
There's been so much growth and so much change of school populations that they basically do it every 2 years now. And so
but that hadn't always been the case, right? Like I don't remember.
Nah.
I don't remember them changing it that. Like when I was in high school, the whole 4 years we were in the same conference and played the same exact teams the whole 4 years. So it had to change at some point, but that was a long time ago,
Yeah, it used to be every 4 years. So they would do it every 4. But I think a lot of it now is, there's new schools that are being built all over the state, and if you don't redo it every 2 years, then sometimes it ends up being a really big advantage. I remember when Blythewood first came in. Blythewood came into our conference, and the first year that they were in it, they were kind of at 3A numbers, but the second year, most of their players were seniors at that point, and their school population was already almost like a 5A school. So they jumped their population so big just because of the big area they were drawing from. Anyway, so now it's every 2 years.
Dutch Fork was like that when I was in high school. It was a brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the exact same thing. I think the seniors, the first year, were from Irmo. They got to choose whether they went to Irmo or Dutch Fork, and then after that, it was based off of district lines. So yeah, they were quite the power in year one, really, but in year two, it was you could tell the differential. So I understand why they put it down to 2 years. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So going back to this year's team, man, we're really excited, man. We've had some really good players go through, and we feel good about this year's group. Our seniors, we have 5 seniors, led by Thomas Bishop, is going to be a right-handed pitcher, first baseman. He's actually going to have to play some second base early on this spring because Brady Furness is injured right now. But another senior is Mac Melichamp. He's been on our varsity since his sophomore year. He's really good defensive catcher. He's going to pitch some for us, and he's been a really successful hitter for us as well. Dustin Bixby is another senior, and he will be kind of playing some outfield and possibly pitching some as well. We're kind of trying him out at pitcher this year. He drops down and throws sidearm or submarine. So we feel like that can be kind of a help for us since it's kind of an unusual look. We haven't had very many subby guys in my time here. Dalton Sharp is back. He was here as a 7th and 8th grader, 9th grader as well. Had a really injury-plagued 9th grade year. Then he went to private school for 2 years, and now he's coming back and is going to play backup catcher and will pitch for us. He's actually going to start for us on Friday, and maybe even some outfield as well. So that's how many is that? And then Hunter Zabransky. Hunter Zabransky moved in last year as a junior from Idaho, and so he's third baseman, left-handed hitter that could possibly really help us out in a lot of ways. So those are our 5 seniors. Our junior class, we are led by Brady Furness, who is a returning starter, 2-year returning starter at second base. Clay Ridgway will be our shortstop and also will probably be our number 1 pitcher. He's a junior. Let's see. Matthew Lounsbury will give us some time in the outfield, possibly. Matthew Small is another junior that will see some time on the mound. Man, he's got a really, really good curveball and can surprise us every once in a while with some velocity as well. So let's see. Edwards Graham is another junior that'll get us. He's kind of a utility guy. He can play all over the place, pitch, catch, infield, outfield. He really can play it all. Maddox Dixon is another that we're really excited about, but he's been injured, and we're trying to get him back into being able to pitch. He really did some good things early on in the preseason on the mound, but has had some arm issues. So he'll play some first base, and he also swings a really good bat, left-handed stick as well. And then we have 3 sophomores on our team that are going to really play a lot for us. Thorne Tucker is going to start in center field. Kason Newman will get a lot of time at third base, maybe some shortstop, and maybe even some outfield. And then Maddox Freeman will also give us a lot of time, maybe some at second base and some outfield spots. So we're really excited about this group. They're good guys, and we're making some good progress. The head coach of this Camden team, though, man, he must be going crazy because that guy scheduled probably one of the toughest schedules that we've ever had. So, but I'm in the belief that it's not like the old school playoffs where if you didn't have a very good record, you couldn't get in. They take the top 4 teams in your conference. And so if we don't finish in the top 4, we don't deserve to go to the playoffs anyway. So we've scheduled a really tough schedule by design, and it's really paid off for us. We have been known throughout my time here as a team that's always peaking at the right time and playing its best baseball at the end of the year, and it's really paid off for us. So we're going to be battle tested, and we may not have the most impressive record, but when it comes down to the playoffs, we'll be ready. So I'm really excited about this group.
Yeah, and what's cool about a community like Camden, you mentioned a lot of names that people are familiar with the last name, but that's the cool thing about Camden is typically, and there may be years between them. A lot of times, if a brother or a cousin or something like that has a love for any sport, there's typically, another brother or some type of relative that's going to be following. You mentioned quite a few. You mentioned Mac Mellenchamp, and they've been in a small town like Camden or Kershaw County for that matter. I don't care if you're talking about North Central, Lugoff, or Camden. They've been around the program. You talk about Mac. Well, his brother Mitchell played for Camden High School. You talk about even the younger guys, Maddox Freeman. His brother Logan, I believe, played as recently as last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And people that are on the team now have younger brothers coming up through the ranks that Brady Furness's younger brother plays baseball. So it's that's the cool thing about a small community is typically if their relative plays the sport, they're already been around the program, they're familiar with, and I think that amounts to like the love of the actual school, not just the sport, but people from Camden, they love Camden athletics. People from Lugoff, people from North Central, they bleed whatever, red and blue, gold and black, gold and green. and I think that's very important. As a young person to not only learn, what do they say? Like I'm playing for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. So
Yeah.
early on, they're learning that, and you've seen that in basketball. You've seen that in football. You mentioned Thomas Bishop. I still call him Little T, but he's about 6'5". So it's cool to see. As I still consider myself young, but it's cool to see kids that like Thorne Tucker was my neighbor, and I think I met him when he was 2 years old, and now I look up at him. He's taller than me. He's always had a deep voice, like he was, hey Scoop, when he was like 4 years old. But that's really neat, and even people from past, you mentioned not only the athletic ability, but good kids, like Zach Haney really comes to mind. My son was fortunate enough to do some lessons with Zach, and, he's, in my opinion, he's more mature than I am as a 48-year-old, and, very intelligent, and really knows his stuff. So we're lucky that these kids growing up not only have good mentors. You mentioned the game of life. That's one of the most important things. You want to win, you're competitive, but putting out, good, upstanding individuals, is just as important. But when you got kids like that these younger kids are looking up to, you can't go wrong. So good luck with that. So we're gonna end with a few things that I've started doing. So before we get into the 5 burning questions, first we'll talk about spring sports passes. So you can get in touch with the high school. I don't know if y'all have them available like on site, like at baseball games or whatnot, if you do that, but it's $40 for adults, I believe, and $20 or $30 for children.
So, man, I wish I would have checked on that. I think the price has gone up, I think, a little bit for the students, but it's not more than 30, I don't think. But I believe 40 for the adults. Man, I'm not 100% sure what they are, but I do know when you can get them and where you can get them.
That's right, so, and you're going to save money if you get them if you go to enough games. So,
the cost of going to a varsity game now is a $7 ticket, and a sub-varsity, whether it's B team or JV, is a $6 ticket. But when I first got here, it cost $5 for the varsity game, so it's gone up a little bit. I have a saying that I use all the time that I have to correct myself because I've said sometimes players are out there watching the game instead of playing the game when they should be backing up a throw or, covering a base or whatever. And so I yell out, hey, man, it costs $5 to watch. Well, inflation has occurred, and so I have to correct myself, and it's $7 now. So I do know that. But you can save a lot of money by buying a spring sports pass, and they do have them available at the athletic office with Miss Nikki Dalton, who is awesome, by the way. So you can go up and see her, or if you want to just wait, whenever we have any of our home games, they'll have them available at the gate that you can purchase at the gate also.
And I'll clarify, they're not just for baseball. So a spring sports pass gets you, you pay that one-time fee, and then you're able to go to baseball, track, softball, soccer.
Yep.
Am I hitting them all? I think that's all.
I don't think they charge at the tennis or golf matches, but yeah, the softball, baseball, track, and soccer are your main ones where they charge them at the gate. And maybe they do at tennis. I don't know. Unfortunately, our schedule is so busy, I don't ever get a chance to go over there and watch. But Yeah, that spring sports pass could save a ton of money if you are a avid sports fan and go to a lot of different games.
Yeah, and if you buy it, then you don't have to worry about if they charge or not. You're good to go.
That's right.
As far as fundraisers goes, any player on any of the teams actively is doing a fundraiser at this point. But at any point, um, the and this goes for any sport at Camden High, but especially since it's baseball season, any businesses, any individuals who would like to donate money, no amounts too small, no amounts too big, obviously, but they're constantly fundraising, trying to provide these kids with as much resources, um, everything from things that you think about like uniforms and um, hitting nets and things of that nature down to a baseball. So if you hadn't checked lately on what the cost of an actual baseball that is utilized for school sports cost, I'll put it this way: I heard a figure that the Dodgers, who they can afford it, believe me, but I think their budget for baseballs last year was $10 million. That's that. Now they throw them in the stands after the third out and stuff like that, but that's how much baseballs have gone up inflation wise. But
It's incredible.
yeah, but they'll you can get in touch with any of the coaches. You can reach out to Ms. Dalton, and once again, the I know this by heart because I used to. It hadn't changed in 20-something years, but or 30, however long it's been. But if I'm not mistaken, Nikki's direct phone number to the Athletic is 803-425-8939 is the extension for the Athletic office, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
If
So
it
we
if it
also
isn't, then
have
they'll get you where you need to go. But
no, yeah, that's her number. That's her number. That's the athletic office number. So we also do have, some companies like the advertisement. We have outfield banners. We're getting a new scoreboard. So it hasn't been put up yet, and we're 2 weeks away from hosting our first home games. So I don't know for sure if that's going to happen or not. But we have a scoreboard advertisement package. We have outfield banners package, and we have some banners that we can put up on our press box and up in near the dugouts and that kind of stuff too. So if anybody's interested in something like that, they can email me, dennis.beckley@kcsdschools.net, and I can send them an advertisement package if somebody's interested in that. So and then we've got the big fundraiser that you talked about is going on right now, where players are seeking donations. So it's been going really, really, really well. So we're really excited about that fundraiser. It's been a really big plus for us over the last few years. And just to give people some what we've been doing with the money, we have turfed and concreted our batting tunnel area. We have new lockers in our JV locker room. We have new uniforms. We're going to get potentially some other stuff that we may get, because this year's fundraiser is going really well. And we're always doing some facility upgrades. So a lot of that money that we've raised with the golf tournament in the fall and with some of the stuff that we've already been doing is going to go towards those types of things. And as you mentioned, the baseballs are really, really expensive. So we go through about 25 dozen a year, and a dozen baseballs is like $110. So that's a big part of our budget. That amount right there alone used to be more than our entire budget way back when I first started. So
yeah, the players are lucky that that Legion Field's about the size of some small, major league ballparks, or part of their conditioning probably would be going in the tree line behind left and center field to get balls out of the tree line. But they're gonna have to poke it to get it there on that size field. So we're gonna finish with 5 burning questions. Actually, yours is gonna be 4 because you already divulged who your favorite Major League Baseball team was. Favorite number?
Well, good question. I've been wearing 23 ever since I've been here, but my favorite number is 8. So I wore number 8 in high school at football and baseball, but too many players like to wear that number, so I never took it when I was here. So I just took 23, and I've stuck with that.
Favorite defensive game or offensive game? Meaning low scoring or high scoring?
For baseball?
Yeah.
Oh, good question. I guess the low scoring. I think that pitching and defense is what wins championships, and if you can do those, you can play with anybody. If it's a high scoring game, it's not always conducive. So I like the defensive games.
Unless you're scoring high, you're the high scorer, and they're the low.
Yeah.
Favorite baseball player ever?
Ryan Sandberg.
I had a feeling that was my second guess.
Mark Grace is a good second, but I'm really starting to enjoy this current Cubs group. They're a lot of fun. So, but Ryan Sandberg is definitely the guy.
That's a good one. We already got a favorite MLB team, and I'll throw you a little softball here. So, for a coach, a coach's family, who is the real MVP?
For my family?
Yeah, in a family that a coach coaches a sport in high school, who is the real MVP of the family?
Oh man, my wife.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you doing that. I did give her a little bit of a shout out earlier, but no, she's incredible. She lets me do what I love to do. I'm not home very often. She's raised all 3 of our kids. But the thing that is really cool about Steph is, so for Christmas this year, she bought me us tickets to go watch the Bears and Packers in Chicago, because I'm a huge Bears fan too. We are huge Bears fans, and I had never been to a Bears game before. So, and then in the summer, for the last 3 summers in a row, we do a little trip up to Chicago to go watch the Cubs play. So she loves playing. She loves going to these sporting things just as much as I do. So yeah, she's the real MVP, no doubt.
There we go, and I'll close that out by. I mean, we mentioned his 2 sons, obviously because of the baseball playing, and the wife, the real MVP. I don't want Delaney to feel left out, so if she happens to listen, I'm mentioning her name just so she does not feel left out. But
yeah, Davis. I didn't talk much about Davis either. So yeah, Devin is doing really well. He's in Charleston doing civil engineering work. Davis is a junior at Carolina now. He was at Francis Marion, and he was playing baseball, but he decided to stop playing ball and go to Carolina. And then Delaney is at College of Charleston. She's a freshman, and she is doing really, really well. She is in a sorority group, and she's going to be majoring as an early childhood educator. Denny Beckley was put on earth to be a elementary teacher, and she'll just be fabulous. So
I always knew she was my favorite. She went go into my alma mater. I don't know Delaney as well as I knew the other ones because she was younger, and I didn't cross paths with her as much in the sports, but I knew there was something I liked about her, and she chose the College of Knowledge as her as her school of choice, that's she goes number one on the top of the totem pole for Scoop automatically in the Beckley child household. So, but anyway, kept you a little longer than I wanted to, but this is some good stuff. Appreciate you sharing your background, talking, a little bit about the program and some of the partnerships y'all have here locally, as well as this year's team. Like he said, get out there, support them. If you can't get out there, support them financially if possible. It's supposed to be good weather all spring, and if you don't have anything else to do, get you a schedule and get out there to Legion Field. Between the varsity, JV, and B team, I would imagine about any day of the week, unless they're all away or something, you're going to be able to find some type, as well as the complex is shared with the softball team, and know quite a few girls that are on that team as well. So support the baseball and the softball team. In some instances, you can kind of walk between the games. I've noticed that as well. But we appreciate your time, Coach Beckley. Good luck to y'all this season. And, we'll have to do this again at some point. Hopefully in a few months, we'll do another interview, talking about the ring ceremony and all that good stuff, But
that'd be good.
Yes,
that'd be
sir.
Great.
Yes, sir. But anyway, appreciate the time and thank everybody for listening. Once again, this is All the Scoop podcast. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Thank you, Scoop. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.